To the editor of the Baltimore Sun, sir, of all the utterly asinine, ridiculous feats, this is certainly the silliest ever conceived by anybody and made worse by the sanction of the more silly and ridiculous parents of the said children. In my opinion, the children should be soundly spanked.
I think the last kind of carefree, silly generation is the 1920s. It was a reaction to the end of World War I. It was throwing off the Victorian era. Women got a right to vote. They drove cars. They had jobs. Hems went up. Freud liberated people through sex. Jazz, movies, goldfish eating, and pole sitting becomes kind of just another craze.
Pole sitting is a wonderful piece of the history of Baltimore City that unfortunately most people don't know.
I think this started as a bet, a couple of kids emulating Shipwreck Kelly, who was the greatest flagpole sitter of his time.
High in rain-swept Manhattan skies, famed flagpole sitter has vowed he'll hold his perch for as many hours as it took Lindbergh to fly across Atlantic.
But just the whole notion of it's so insane, sitting on a pole. Why?
It was accessible. You could do it. Anybody could put a flagpole up and be a pole sitter. And most of these were kids, say, between the ages of 10 and 15. They would sit on a pole as long as possible to try to set the world record.
My brother said, we're gonna do this, and he was 9, I was 6. So that was late in the afternoon, as I remember. Dark came on, and my brother said, we can't sit up here in the dark. So we came down. We lost. Our record was about, I guess we were up there all of 6 or 7 hours.
Neighbors came out and watched. Even the mayor of Baltimore came and celebrated. So pole sitting was just a kind of weird reflection of a long tradition in American history that the average person could become a star.
When the first patter of rain fell yesterday afternoon, Avon stood up and calmly announced to his manager, brother, publicity agent. What? Had a publicity agent. We're 6 years old, 7 years old. He's got a publicity agent.
How do you feel, Dorothy? Fine. Do you remember how long you've been up there now? 18 days. And how long do you intend to stay? I'll stay to Christmas.
In the 1920s, women become much more visible. So for young girls, I think it's a fascinating example with pole sitting, that they think that they can do that too.
All over Baltimore, boys and girls took to the tops of trees and poles so rapidly that in one issue, the Baltimore Evening Sun reported 25 boys and girls ranging in age from 10 to 15 years in the contest.
I do know that some boy was supposed to go up to the tree, but he got cold feet, and Ruth said, I'll go. And off she went, and she never came down.
I think that kids can be inspirational for every generation, and the pole sitters remind us of that. Being able to have a good time and showing their ability to sustain and look forward and be positive. People want to flock to that.
It was a vivid moment, but that vivid flame was extinguished pretty early. It never carried over. Nobody ever heard of it ever since.
Is pole sitting the first great fad? It's probably the first great fad that was perpetuated through the media. It's the YouTube of the 1920s. Being able to do something that grabs a public attention and makes you a media star, that's the kind of thing that I think is just a legacy that connects pole sitting with planking and other kinds of modern fads among young people today. People want to be a star. And I think people want to be a star in the 1920s, and they want to be a star in the 21st century as well.